I just finished watching the final episode of Creature Commandos. So this is the first look at James Gunn's DCU. It's the first official canon thing that we've been seeing. It really ties into the Suicide Squad. You get a lot of the Suicide Squad characters like Amanda Waller. It follows a similar structure. The team of anti-heroes are supposed to go on a mission sanctioned by the US government. Well, maybe not quite fully sanctioned. She's not supposed to use humans. So the shtick is that they're all monsters. Hence the title Creature Commandos. So they go to this fictional country, I don't know if it's ever named,
Pokolistan,
to protect a princess. Then the plot develops and it turns out they're supposed to kill the princess, and then it turns out they're not supposed to kill the princess. Then it turns out they're really supposed to kill the princess. Each individual episode sort of goes into the backstory of one of the characters. Like the episode that focused on G.I. Robot, you get his time in World War II. The episode that focuses on the bride, you get her time with the Frankenstein backstory. Fish Lady gets her own backstory. Weasel gets his own backstory, and he actually becomes more of a sympathetic character, which was rather surprising. Each episode moves the story ahead just a little bit, while we get a lot of backstory and exposition about whatever character they're focusing on that week. But does it work as a television series? Well, yes and no. I enjoyed watching it. The characters are fun. The voice actors are great. The animation looks good. It's probably a little bit more violent than it needs to be. I'm not a guy who shies away from violence on movies and TV. But there's something about a cartoon that shows graphic violence that just makes it a little bit more uncomfortable for some reason. There's sort of a cognitive dissonance between the animation and the extreme graphic violence. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being silly because I'm used to cartoons being for kids, but the graphic violence just seemed a little bit much. And I loved Suicide Squad. I loved The Suicide Squad. I love Deadpool. I love graphic violence. I love RoboCop. I love Starship Troopers. I love movies where people get killed. But for some reason, it just seemed a little off-putting in this cartoon for reasons I can't quite put my thumb on. The characters were actually more likable than I expected. I really wasn't looking forward to the show. I liked it more than I expected I would, but I still wouldn't call it one of my favorite shows. The backstories just kind of dragged each episode down. The problem with focusing so much on the backstories of these people each and every episode is the actual plot thread of the main story moved incrementally just a little bit each week, and it made it seem a little bit too slow. I really hope we don't get another Suicide Squad movie for a while, because after the Suicide Squad, the previous Suicide Squad, this Creature Commandos, they all follow the same basic formula. Amanda Waller assembles a team, sends them off to go do stuff. They even sort of did that in the Peacemaker show. The Black Adam movie followed that formula too. Creature Commandos exceeded my expectations, but my expectations were fairly low. It's a good show. It's an interesting start. I enjoyed the 1/2 second shot of Batman. You know that Batman exists in this universe, so that's fun to see. I like casual references to other DC stuff. They mentioned Star City. They even mentioned Bloodhaven, which is connected to the Bat family. Nightwing has a lot of adventures in Bloodhaven, so that was nice. There's a lot of nods to other DC stuff. If you're paying attention, you'll get a lot more detail in those little Easter eggs they threw in, which I really appreciated. A lot of the main characters getting killed seemed a little bit forced, like they had to kill somebody for dramatic effect. When Fish Lady got killed, it just seemed kind of sad. They make you like her just so that they can kill her. Seems kind of a cheap way to get an emotional reaction from the audience. I guess they didn't need her in the live action movie, so they killed off the character. I don't know, seemed kind of cheap. Didn't really have the emotional impact. The final episode is the one where they give you her backstory only to kill her. It would have had more of an effect if they had given us more of a backstory earlier. The main problem with this show is it didn't really have a protagonist. Each episode has its own individual protagonist. One is like, you get the G.I. Robot episode, you get the Fish Lady episode, you get the Weasel episode. But there isn't a single protagonist that carries the story through from episode to episode each week. It really is a bunch of little episodes about past exposition with just a little bit of moving forward to the actual plot. The actual plot really wasn't all that significant. There's a princess, they're going to kill her or not. That's really the whole thing of the show, and that really isn't that impressive of a story arc. Overall, though, I would recommend the show. I think it's an interesting start to the DCU. Not really for me, but I am curious to see what happens next. If you want to support this channel, the best way to do that would be to buy my novel, Death Siren, Judas Kissed, or Becoming Quincy. All of my novels are available on Amazon.com. Thanks for stopping by the Reaction Lounge.